Welcome to the IGN Best in PC pre-show presented by the Razer Iskur, the ultimate chair created for gamers by gamers with an adjustable ergonomic lumbar support designed for not just healthy, but focused long gaming sessions. Man your battle station with the Razer Iskur. Today we're going to be talking about some of the games that are up for Game of the Year. Deathloop and Cyberpunk 2077 specifically. Cyberpunk came out so late in 2020 that it is still up for 2021's best role-playing game. But let's start with Deathloop, something a little bit more recent, something that I played a little bit of, but I wanted to defer to Mark and Stella for, because Stella, you played a ton, and Mark, you certainly played more than I did. What do you think about Deathloop as a contender?
Stella, what do you think? Let's have you start.
Okay. So I absolutely loved it. I definitely would have voted for this for Game of the Year because I think it did a lot of things really well. I mean, Arcane Studios kind of showed off just what they're known for, and their story was so good. I genuinely loved how you unravel each mystery piece by piece, and the fact that you actually have to hunt for codes and different secrets on your own, because everyone's experience is different. Your code that you get is going to be very different at the beginning, and it's really cool. I don't know, I just loved exploring the universe of Deathloop, just being able to understand what exactly is happening. Being able to have this conversation with the main character was really cool because he would talk to himself. Obviously, you see the text in the game that would pop up that I have a theory about, but I'm not going to say anything just in case it's spoilers. But I don't know, I just genuinely loved it. Like, this is the first game in a really long time that I've actually spent time doing all the side quests for, because it unlocked more lore, and for me, just immersing myself into this world was it meant a lot to me, just because it's so in depth. You get to figure out what each person's motivations are, like why they're here. You can hear about the beginning and the start of this weird island where time isn't really relevant, and it's really cool. I don't know, I think they just did it really well, and the combat is so fun. All the different powers you get are the combinations you can do are just insanely fun.
I think my favorite one of my favorite things about a game like Deathloop is the breath of fresh air from the style of it. Like, there's so many like gritty and dark and like brown and gray games, and then you have this game that's like full of color and full of like wacky weapons and like wacky enemies, like this guy who, just doesn't even see you coming, and all the enemies disappear in this weird fashion, but then they explain it in the game. And that's kind of what I took from it, is just how different it is than the current landscape of games that it kind of came out around.
Yeah, and moving on to Cyberpunk 2077, which is up for best role-playing game, I think there's one important thing to talk about with Cyberpunk, because you have to bring up the controversy. We were only provided PC code, and there was this whole console version of the game that largely had tremendous problems that were obscured seemingly purposefully. And that's truly unfortunate, because when you're talking about best role-playing game, I think Cyberpunk 2077 actually has a lot of strengths. I remember my time working towards romancing Pan Am, and how it's not just like, it's not just like given to you for nothing. You actually have to work towards that relationship and earn her trust. And it's similar with Judy. You actually have to learn about her childhood and her background. And there's a lot of really interesting storytelling that happens with even the intro characters. You can meet his family and discover more there. Mark, what's your impression of Cyberpunk as an RPG?
Yeah, Cyberpunk is a game that I liked when it first came out, and I recently started playing it again just because I knew that it was up for some award nominations, and it had been about a year since I had played it, and I'd finished all what I felt like was all the current games that were out right now, and I was like, I kind of want to go back to Cyberpunk. I don't feel like it's that different, mainly because I thought that the PC version a year ago was pretty good, and I think it's still pretty good. But no, I like Cyberpunk, and I'm weirdly liking it more a year removed from the controversy, right? You get on Twitter, and people are like, Cyberpunk's not great, blah, blah, blah. And like being able to just like judge it for myself and play it, I'm kind of like, I'm really into this. I am actually really liking this game.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism, and I think it's largely because of people feeling misled, and that just sort of set it up for problems from the get-go. So now here we are, a year later. It's been added back to the PlayStation Store. It recently had a big sale, and people are experiencing it and realizing, hey, there actually is some good gameplay here that I wouldn't have realized because of all the negative connotation surrounding it. Rightful negative reception, in my opinion. Well, thank you so much, Mark and Stella. And thank you, everybody, for tuning into IGN's Best of PC pre-show presented by the Razer Iskur, the chair created for gamers by gamers. Razer has your back during your most heated gaming sessions with the Iskur's adjustable, ergonomic lumbar support to help you outlast the competition. Back to you, Damon.